Today's guest is Adrienne Barker, who is an accomplished business consultant and LinkedIn coach with over 35 years of experience in the promotional products industry. Renowned for her expertise and commitment to corporate etiquette, she offers personalized LinkedIn coaching services through her LinkedIn Lift program and hourly consulting in her I'm You program. With a keen focus on corporate etiquette, Adrienne ensures that her clients present themselves professionally and effectively in the corporate world. Her mission is to help businesses thrive by providing tailored strategies and solutions for navigating corporate environments with grace and professionalism. So, Adrienne, thank you very much for being on. How are you doing today?
Great. That's such a great bio. I almost want to meet her.
It is a pretty good bio, right? So I'd love to know how somebody with a bio like that gets to do all the cool things that are in the bio. So if you want to explain that to us, the floor is yours for it.
Awesome. Awesome. The Zoom room. So I grew up in a family promotional products business, loved it, loved it, loved it. And then there got to be a point where I almost started to feel really uncomfortable with myself. And it seemed to, as I was starting to network and go to events, I realized, oh, I don't know. Do I order a salad? Not order a salad. Can I order the soup? Ooh, can I get the filet mignon or do I have to just order the steak? What, how much are they going to be paying us? Are we going to be okay? She just had 5 drinks. I didn't even order one drink. Should I order one drink? Can it be a $28 drink? Like all of that was going in my head. And I'm like thinking to myself, I am obviously in need of etiquette training because I've always been someone that wants to do the right thing. I can be like what my kids say, you're a goody two shoes. I want to do things correctly. But when it came to business, I didn't know what correctly really meant. Nothing against my mom and dad. They're amazing, but they actually didn't teach me like corporate etiquette. They didn't even teach me how to unload the dishwasher, and I still need help with that. So when it comes to really understanding, I decided, oh my gosh, this is something that I really want to learn. I got tired of selling promotional products, and I was at a stage in my life. I'm like, where else can I go? What can I do? Love the family business, but I need something more. So I opened up professional global etiquette. I went to the Protocol School of Washington, which to me is one of the best schools, and just started down that path. Left my parents. They were like, where are you going? And I really enjoyed that. So I got motivated and I, appeared on a lot of different shows, did the podcast circuit back in 2015, did a whole big thing, like 100 countries and like what you needed to know when you go to each country if you're doing business, because it was also an international protocol certification. And then from there, I got involved with SCORE. So I've been with SCORE. I just left SCORE, but I was 8 years with SCORE and chair in Volusia Flagler for 2 years and absolutely loved that. Been mentoring, always needed some place to put my passion. Always, always. It was always to me work and then my passion project. And I had to have both. And a lot of times it was chambers and serving on committees. And I got off that. So now I'm a guardian ad litem, which puts me here today in Daytona Beach, where on top of everything, I had opened up my parents' fifth art gallery. How crazy is that? So I came and there was a Tanger Outlets here, and I ended up staying, getting involved in the business community and teaching corporate etiquette, teaching LinkedIn, and doing everything that you mentioned in the bio. And so, and saying yes to opportunities like this one.
Awesome. Well, I guess I should have asked you like what you don't do, right? Like that would have been because it's
I
like
don't do accounting. No, no,
you don't
nothing
do
with numbers.
accounting. All right, okay. So we do have an answer for that as well. Fair enough. Because I was like, that's a pretty long list of stuff that you do. So I'm like, maybe we should have started with the opposite, be like, okay, but accounting, I don't blame you. I don't really like to do accounting either. So I totally get it. All right, perfect. So yeah, I mean, it comes up often on the podcast that I get people that have this varied history that kind of a whole lot of things had to line up to kind of get them to do this like really unique thing that they do. And to be honest, I had no idea that like, etiquette for corporate thing was even a thing. So like this is actually pretty cool to me as well. So that's number one. And then number two, so I'd love to then dive into, because you have such a varied past and because you clearly have like such a big expertise, both from like, I've got credentials with regards to this stuff. And obviously if you're doing it for 35 years, like, there's obviously a lot of stuff under your belt. I'd love to know kind of what is it that essentially brings you here today? Like, how can I support you in navigating whatever challenges you have right now? and like, let's just see where that will take us.
So I will say one of the things that I am is a forward thinker. So yes, you're right. I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of wisdom. I've mentored 400 hours a year for 8 years. So it's a lot of different businesses that I helped. But what happens with me is that I'm a forward thinker. So when people work with me, I have to explain that to them. And because of being a forward thinker, someone like myself that's really, really a positive person is often seen as a negative, right? So by a forward thinker, I'm always looking ahead so that if we're talking about an event, I want to know, well, like what's going on. If there's, not just like plan B, because that's a simplification of it. But when you work with me, and we're doing something together, you may just say, okay, Adrienne, here's the answer to what you're looking for. But in my mind, I want more. I want well, then how do I make it better? What do I do next time? Where does that go? And so I could drive people crazy with all my what if we do it this way? I'm also not a yes man. So I will tell you, I really didn't understand who I was until I watched Brad Pitt's World War Z. Do you remember that movie? In
I
World
know
War
that
Z,
movie. Yes, I'm curious
yeah,
what out of that movie actually
so he gets
resonates.
in the
Yeah.
car. He gets in the car with the man, and the man says, "Oh," and he's, Brad's like, "Who are you?" And the man says, "I'm the 10th man." Well, what is the 10th man? I'm the 10th man. When we're in a boardroom and everyone is saying yes, 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 I'm the one that's always bringing up, well, what if we did it this way? What if it doesn't work out? What if, and that. So that's one big like issue with me, is trying to understand, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Is this like my own head trash? Is it okay to be a what if? And I just want to add really quickly something else onto that, is that I also do have that, say yes and figure it out later. The big debate to me right now is, do I answer the phone? Do I not answer the phone? I want to answer the phone because I want to get the call right away and I want to take care of it. And I want to get back to them. And it's easier if I can answer the phone and I have to let it go to voicemail. I don't like having to skill. Like, this is my brain all day long. And what it pushes me all the time is that I want to give the best service to my clients. I want to do the best. So I'm anxiety if something goes wrong, or if I'm nervous that something's going on, it could all be great. So this is a lot of head trash. I've already filled up like 3/4 of the trash with you. And then I also have just some, I'm so positive that that's a problem too. And when I was with the American Cancer Society, I'll never forget. You come in and like, I love everything. And then one day I was doing a really cool event, and I said, okay, I'm going to go and pick out the food. And they're like, whoa, 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 we're coming with you. Oh, why? I can pick out the food. Adrienne, no, you can't. You like everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're right. So now they're talking that I don't have discernment. And then that like made me wonder, like, so I'm so positive and I can't even deal with conspiracy theories because you have to have a negative kind of part of your personality to even go there. Where is my positivity? How is that harming me? Because it doesn't always feel so great. Not everyone loves someone that's bubbly. Not everyone loves someone that smiles all the time. So I filled the bucket, the trash can.
All right. So, well, for people listening, yeah. So you just showed a trash can because like, this is all the head trash that I have. I filled the bucket of the trash can. I don't know what to do with it. So that's kind of what brings us here today. Okay. So yes. All right. Got it. Well, first, just take a deep breath because that was like a lot. So to just center yourself there. Okay. Um. So I guess the first place that I would start is, even by virtue of like okay, I'm holding up the trash can. You're like, okay, well, this is clearly head trash that I have. Okay. So if that's the awareness that you have, I think that the first question that I would have for you is, well, why is all of this a problem? Like, how is this actually creating problems inside of your business or in your life? Because you're aware of the patterns, right? Like, you're aware that there's something there, but you don't know the root, and we can dive into that. But like, let's just zoom out a little bit and see well, situationally, circumstantially, how is this actually creating problems inside of your life?
The anxiety is probably the hardest thing for me. The consistently worried about what people think. Am I doing the right thing? Am I still being a good role model? Just wanting to be the best that I can be and making sure that people see me as that is obviously, so talking about it, really important to me. So anxiety.
Okay. So the problem really is in terms of how much peace you either have or don't have internally as you're going through like day to day, like the amount of stress or the amount of or the lack of peace. Like, is that accurate how you would describe it, or no?
I love the word peace, by the way. Give peace a chance. I just love that word. So thank you. My eyes lit up like a little kid, like peace. Yes. And I wasn't thinking a piece of pie, but now I am. Okay. So no, peace is really, yes. I love that you just said that. So as silly as that seems, I think that it would be better for me health wise to not be so stressed and anxiety.
Got it.
Yeah.
Because what I'm hearing from the outside looking in when you're describing all of this is like you're on this like hamster wheel of overwhelm, right? It's like my brain is going 10 million out like miles a minute, which I think also has a gift side because you're probably really good at solving problems because you can see all the connections right away. So your brain probably operates faster than other people's for certain things. The distorted side of that is, well, when it works the opposite way and I see all the negative things that can go on and I'm like hyper vigilant and always checking like am I okay, are other people okay, what do they think of me, etc., like then it just becomes this looping hamster wheel of, like you said, anxiety, overwhelm, worry, etc. So like, is that accurate as far as like what you see your day-to-day like?
Yeah, it is. And the also one more thing to add is that I can catch everyone's mistake. If you send me some, I'll catch a mistake on everyone else, never catch my own mistakes. And I seem to be like having some, like last week or 2 weeks ago, I couldn't just get someone's name spelled correctly. I don't know why. I double checked myself. So that's the worst, right? When you actually double check yourself and thinking, I want to get the name correctly and still get it wrong. Now I'm wondering, like, is there a problem with my brain?
Got it. So it seems like the consistent thing in there, the through line with that is like there's like a hyper vigilance for everything. Like everything is double checked, triple checked, and like your brain's just operating always in the like go, 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 go on that hamster wheel of just check, check, check. Everything's check, check, check. Like, is that accurate with regards to?
That is very accurate. That's why everyone thinks, the first thing they say, oh, you got so much energy. Of course I do. I can't let my brain rest. And then, I have to knock myself out at night, literally. So it's really, really hard for me because I'm always thinking. You're right. You nailed it.
So what I'm also hearing from that is a lot of this is motivated not necessarily by excitement. Like it can sometimes, I think, look like excitement on the outside, but it seems like it's actually like the catalyst for it and the fuel for it is actually frenzy. It's like a fear and a frenzy of constantly having to be hyper vigilant, constantly check, et cetera, et cetera. Like, is that accurate for you as well?
It really is.
Okay. So
Wow.
is that something that you didn't notice? Because I kind of see you nodding your head and like thinking. So like, is that something that's new for you? Like you didn't notice that before? Like what's coming up as I reflect that back?
That, yes, that, I probably noticed it in like personal life, but never really thought, oh, Adrienne, this is working on your business life, and or maybe everyone else is like this. And like, I wouldn't be me if I wasn't so concerned or staying up at night. Did I do the right thing? Is the client happy? All of that. Did I price things correctly? Oh, so I did. Yeah, I think that you're right. And it's all trying to come together because I feel that everything has led me up to this day with you, even though I was so nervous because I didn't do any of the work and wanted to be fair to you. So see how I sent you a message like, oh my gosh, I didn't do any of the work. What does that look like for you? I don't want to have you rely on me to do something and then I let you down. So in my mind, I was all upset because I felt like I let you down. So yeah, it's all a big, big, big trash can.
Got it. Okay. So if we zoom out a little bit now, right? Because there's some pieces that are kind of starting to connect, right? There's just that over hamster wheel. You're operating out of frenzy, this hyper vigilance to constantly check, check, check. Okay. How is this, let's just say, affecting you inside of your business?
It's affecting me that everyone likes me and and I'm getting a lot of sales. I tend to close business. And usually most people, after they speak with me, want to know how I can help them and what can I do for them. Because people like, someone that's passionate and excited and listens and focus and all of that. So weirdly enough, I could still remain focused if nobody would have any idea in my head what's going on. and how nervous I could be. What it also does affect is I really, really, now maybe I've done many, many networking events, but at one point about 6 years ago, a networking event at night, I just couldn't do it anymore. Too much of like, I'm not feeling great. I don't feel like I look good. I'm having a hard time in a nighttime atmosphere. All of that really stopped me from going to nighttime events. And then people are like, "Oh my God, Adrienne, no way, you're such an extrovert." No, I'm not. I'm in the corner somewhere, nervous, and I'm not comfortable. Breakfast and lunch, I love, love, love. But I don't like anything like happy hour, dinner. So that's another thing that's affecting me.
Okay, so I guess, okay, let's just kind of look at that a little bit deeper, right? So the question was essentially these patterns of anxiety, worry, the overwhelm hamster wheel, the frenzy, right? So like we kind of started it identifying those patterns are happening for you. And the question was, okay, well, how's that affecting your business? And then the immediate place your brain went to was, well, I get a lot of clients, I close a lot of people, I do a lot of networking events. Like maybe sometimes at night, like I don't really like to go out. So to me, that doesn't really sound like too many clients like is a problem, but I mean it's not really one that like it is that big of a problem. Like it can cause consequences, but it doesn't strike me as a problem of like anxiety, worry, overwhelm, etc. So there seems to be a bit of like, and this will happen when I work with clients. There's like our brain tries to deflect and like go somewhere else. Okay. So if you bring it back, okay, what do these patterns, like if you had to look back, zoom out, what actual problems did these patterns cause for you?
Yeah, so I would never let anyone ever know that I'm internally having this kind of anxiety going on. So it's not really causing any, and all people see is my passion and my excitement. And I mean, they don't know that I do everything. My phone is turned off right now, but making sure that I answer the phone. And if I miss the call, oh my gosh, but they wouldn't know that either. So I think that how I said it was actually really correct. It's motivating me and giving me the anxiety and the ability to wake up and be like, okay, I got all this stuff to do. I want to do it. So I don't have a problem with motivation. I don't have a problem with getting myself, to get, people like people that are positive and happy and, passionate and want to do the business. I mean, when I'm teaching someone LinkedIn, I mean, towards the end, I'm just like flying off the roof. I'm so excited. Like I just love, love, love what I do. And people get that too. And it's all likable. We all like someone that's passionate and exciting, right? Not too bubbly, because too bubbly drives people crazy too. I've learned my lessons on too bubbly. But I'm going to say I'm sticking with what I said, that I think that it has not hurt my business. It has helped my business. But when I go see the doctor tomorrow regarding my, high blood pressure, she's going to tell me something completely different.
Perfect. So it's actually a really important point in that, okay, these patterns, they've actually been really useful at driving output forward, right? Like I'm not hurting for business. There's enough people coming my way. I always have people in the pipeline. Like that's not really an issue. The issue is actually the cost of showing up that way, right? You mentioned blood pressure, you mentioned health before, you mentioned the lack of inner peace that you're experiencing, the just amount of effort it takes to constantly be in frenzy and check everything. It's like the cost of admission for not having like the lead flow problems, for lack of a better term right now, is like it's impacting me quite a bit on the personal side of things, on the stress side of things, on how I experience day to day and how I operate through the business. So would that be more accurate for you?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So again, is that something that is like I've known this, maybe I should put into words, I haven't had it reflected back to me, this is not news at all? Like where are you at with regards to that reflection?
Wow, Adrienne, I never really thought that how I am acting is all a accumulation of my anxiety and my nerves. And what I would always think that they were personal, and the things that I would worry about my children, who never had a broken arm or broken leg. Well, Sam did, but like I wasn't there, so I didn't protect them that day. But protecting my kids, it's always my family. So I didn't think that it really went over to my business and how I am. and possibly maybe the perception I am seen. I don't know how exactly I'm see myself. So maybe it's even deeper than I think.
Well, and I mean, you've actually mentioned that many a times with regards to like, what is the perception that like if I don't pick up my phone right away and it's off right now, it's giving me anxiety right now because if I don't answer within 30 seconds, like what are people going to think? What are my clients going to think? What are they paying me for? You know, like, so part of the frenzy is actually there's a part of you internally that's optimizing for how am I perceived? Am I always being liked versus am I optimizing for, you know, what is best for me? What is within my boundaries? How can I still be effective? Right. So anything that comes up for you with that reflection.
Yes, that, you know, I've actually made that part of my secret sauce. Oh, my secret sauce is I answer the phone and then I get my phone number. My secret sauce is I don't have boundaries. Call me anytime. It's okay. I mean, don't call me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll be scared, but call me anytime. So now that I think about that, you know, and if I get emails, I feel like I have to answer them right away. And then I feel like, and actually there is a positive to answering right away. Cause what I've noticed is how fast I respond, my client responds back to me or people. So when people realize, oh, Adrienne drops everything and responds, then I get the same reaction back. And I like that, right? I want people to respond. Also, I grew up, I'm going to add one more thing in the mix. One more, the trash can has a little bit left. So my parents, in my mind, had always said, don't say that you're busy. You know, the woman home with the baby is busy. It's all relative. Obviously, if you tell someone you're busy, then I'm too busy for you. You know, people say, oh, I'm so swamped. And it stops the conversation for me because I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to ask them anything or tell them I got business for them. They're already telling me they're busy. So I never, ever, 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 ever do I ever say I'm busy. I got too much on my plate. And when I hear people say it, I kind of feel bad for them. Like, oh, you're losing a lot of business by saying it. Like, first of all, I don't want to be rude about this, but who really cares, right? Nobody really cares. So I have two things that I have that I kind of a New Year's resolution, which kind of ties into this. And one is no excuses. I mean, if something is going on, I'm not going to give you an excuse because nobody cares that you had a flat tire and you couldn't, whatever it is, nobody cares. And then and does that mean that I don't care? Probably not. I just want to know like what's in front of us, what do we need to do, and then you know the same thing. And I just lost my train of thought of what we're thinking. But anyways, I'm going to be quiet now because it actually just kind of yikes
That's okay.
scared.
I know there's a lot of stuff going on there, so it's okay. Um, what I would reflect back there is like this whole idea of my secret sauce is I have no boundaries. Okay.
Mhm.
So again, extremely great for output, extremely great for customer service. And the flip side of that is everyone is taken care of except for you. Right. Because if I have no boundaries, then I'm going to tolerate everybody else's schedule above my own. And then it leaves very little room, very little bandwidth, very little energy to actually take care of you. So the cost of that is you get to lose out. It's your net negative in that regard. So what lands for you there?
I'm like, I don't know if I really want to change because that scares me. You know, I mean, that's my secret sauce. That's what I do, and I love it. If I didn't love what I do, I don't think I would be so much. But I am very customer service driven, and my expectations for other people are that you know that they should be too. So I actually have some customer service programs because I understand how people perceive a business. I always say to people, call your own business and see how they answer the phone and make sure it's something that you like. I can't call myself, but I know I like the way I answer the phone. I like that I that people can feel like they can send me a message and I can just get it all done. So I do start my day around 7:30 and I end my day around 9 or 10 working. And then I could do that Monday, Tuesday, tonight about 8 because that's all I have the bandwidth. Tomorrow it's like 6 and then Friday you know, I'm done. So, and I'm not really someone that's all calculated, but I just gave you something with like so calculated too. It's weird. So I find that I just did it that way. But you're really opening me up. So I'm being very vulnerable right now. And because most people, when this airs, if it airs, they really won't know. And I don't want you to think that I won't I'll take your call.
No,
I'll
no,
take your email.
it's fine. Listen, that's okay. You're in the right place. Many high achievers struggle with the same thing. So you're in good company. Okay. Like I just want to make that clear right off the bat. And I think what you said is extremely important here, which is so basically what I reflected back to you was okay, the lack of boundaries has worked for you to some degree on the output side of things, on clients are always happy side of things, on I get things done side of things, 110%. Like you can't deny the results that you are getting, right? And the reflection was, okay, well, the cost of that is you, right? Like the cost of that is a lot of these inner peace, health, my own like peace of mind costs. Okay. And then the fear struck in of like, ooh, I don't know if I want to change that. That's going to be a big crux of what you decide to do, not just with today's conversation, but in general, solving this whole thing. Because what that tells me, and it's normal to have this fear, but the consequence of it is right now, your worldview, your beliefs are I cannot have the same level of output, the same quality of work, the same, level of business, revenue wise, profit wise, whatever, like whatever metric you want to use. Like I can't have the same level or more that I have right now if I actually work less, feel better, and am at more at peace. Like those two are diametrically opposed. When the reality is they're actually not, but they do require a different set of beliefs and a different approach to everything. So before I go on, what resonates there, what doesn't?
You're right with the beliefs, and probably, another thing growing up in a family business is being sick. Oh my gosh. I mean, if I have a birth defect with my kidneys. So sometimes I'm out with kidney stones and that, and even then I've been known to come out of surgery and do business. But that's because that's all I know. I've seen my father his whole life work every time he goes to the hospital. I mean, like he never stopped. My mom never stopped. They were together for almost 70 years, married and working together, and working hard. So conversations and dinners, everything was always surrounded by business talk, which I love. I'm stimulated by business talk. So I just, you're saying this. So I guess that's where it really comes from is that there's probably at the end of the day, you know, what's already been ingrained in me. It's not even like trying to make my parents happy. They both pass. So I do think that they're looking down at me, but they both pass. But it's more like in my blood, like the DNA in my blood is to work. You can't take a sick day. If I'm on vacation, which I do take vacations, but if I'm on vacation, then I put my out of office on to make sure everyone can reach me, let everyone know. And the other thing is that I do have that personality of like, well, I'll just put my big girl's pants on. I remember getting staff really upset with me a couple of years ago when I said, listen, talking about not saying you're busy. We all have 24 hours in a day. So like we figure it out, right? So like if I have a lot of work in front of me, it's stressing me out. I'll just work till midnight or I'll wake up early and do it. Like I put on I don't complain. I'm not a complainer. Except to my husband, which I love to complain because then I get treated right like a queen. But no, so I do complain a lot to him. But like in real, I never would complain. I never say, "Oh my God," like I can't. I can't even say it to you because it's not what's in my blood.
And that's totally fair. And it's clear, I think, where a lot of these patterns originate from, like with the family history and all of that. Like that all makes sense. And really the question for you is like, is this the way you want to continue living your life?
Yes, I'll get back to you on that. No, no. I mean, I'm 61, so obviously, what do I have? Another 10 years. I don't know. My parents never retired. They both passed while still working. And my mom had fallen, but my dad was still working when he went in the hospital. So I don't even know what that would look like. Some days, okay, do I ever think to myself, oh my God, it's so sunny out. I would love to go to the beach today, or I would love to go to the pool. Yes. And when I think that, I make it happen because I work for myself. So if I really feel like I need to go swimming, or this summer, I'll take an hour and go to the pool, or 2 hours or whatever, and I'll just work it at night. I'm flexible and I have my time. So I feel like I do, I do take care of myself. I can't say, oh, well, Adrienne, I'm so focused that I find a balance. It's just obviously the balance is still not doing anything to help my anxiety.
Right. So when I asked you the question, right, it was okay, is this the life you want to continue living? Right? Like one with no boundaries, the anxiety, the worry, the frenzy, the overwhelm, right? The lack of peace. And where your brain went to was essentially a few different iterations of like deflective answers. One was, well, yeah, I kind of do take, breaks every so often. Like it's not like I never go on vacation. It's kind of like justifying where this is all going, right? The other part of it too is like, well, I do have a flexible schedule, and then like I'll go outside, etc. Okay, great, but none of that really answers like, is this actually the life you want to lead at the stage of life that you're at? So I was going to ask it again, and just instead of like trying to answer right away, is like if there was a right answer, just kind of tune in and see like what kind of life do you actually want to lead?
I would like to be able to wake up when I want to wake up, have a nice cup of coffee, do a few hours of work. I want to be that person that says, "Oh, I made $20,000 and I worked 3 hours this month," which I don't even believe is like the truth, but I wouldn't know. And be able to have more lunches and go, yeah, so no, no, this is not the life that I want to lead, or that I could feel like I can sustain, maybe another year, and then I'll probably, I don't know. Or am I, maybe I'm killing myself, like doing all this. I don't know. Thank you for letting me like think about it. I'm not really sure. And I have I've never really had a coach before, or even a psychiatrist or a therapist or anything. So I don't really even know, I guess I have to process it and sleep on it and think if, I don't know.
That's okay. And listen, I acknowledge you for a truthful answer of like, I don't know. Like, that's a totally valid answer, especially because like if you look at everything you've shared so far, everything has been, I don't make excuses. I keep working. If something has to get done till 12, I keep going. Like it leaves very little room for essentially the kind of introspective questions I'm getting you to ask, right? Because this kind of constant work, one of the consequences of it is it never leaves much bandwidth or space for us to actually make these kind of deeper decisions or connections, right? Like if this is all I've ever known and all I do is keep looking forward, it's kind of like a horse with blinders. I never actually have the chance to look around and be like, hold on, is this actually what I want? Like put a different way, it's like, are you winning a game you don't actually want to play? Right? Like
Oh,
if in 10 years you win this game of like, I just spent 70 years of my life and I've worked like a horse the whole time and I've gotten a lot of output out of it. But did I actually win the game I wanted to play?
wow. Wow. And then what's also going through my head, I'm like, that's just like amazing. The other thing that's going through my head is, oh, I also never like to say no. Should I tell them I never like to say no? I'm like a yes person. I always want to try to make someone happy or help them out or whatever that looks like.
Well, I mean, that's just under the umbrella of I have no boundaries. Because if you
Oh
have no
yeah.
boundaries, then the answer is always yes.
Ew.
Right?
I don't
Part of
even like,
boundaries is no.
I don't like myself with not having boundaries. I don't know if I like this person.
Well, and again, I acknowledge you for the truth in that because I know it's not a fun thing to, especially if you don't spend a lot of time thinking about these things, right? But not having this pattern, it's a different way to like look at it. Your tolerance for all of these things is actually reflective of very low standards for yourself. So it's like you're tolerating constantly saying yes to everybody. You're tolerating a schedule where you're constantly available. You're tolerating never saying no. All of that means I actually have very low standards for what's acceptable and what isn't in my experience. That whole thing of what I ask you, like, okay, is there a part of you that even considers that, hey, maybe I can make what you already said, 20K a month working 3 days a week? Well, that's a standard, right? Like there are tactical things you might be available to you right now in terms of leverage, in terms of hiring, in terms of, whatever other business solutions that may exist there. But it's like, if that's not even a possibility, that standard can never be. So what you just do is you continue to tolerate a whole lot of things. Okay. So again, I don't want to dive too deep into that, but what lands for you from that reflection? What doesn't?
Well, that's obviously not a smart way to go. And how could I so that I'm thinking to myself, how could I every day maybe pull back a little bit? I know that some people will do some, and I don't know if I can, like, okay, I'm going to answer my emails from 8 to 10 and 2 to 5, like, or whatever. Like, I giggle when I hear that, like, oh, that's just so not me. But I don't know. Do I need to stop saying it's not me and start saying, get it, Adrienne, it is you and it is okay? So I guess I have to go small steps during the day. I don't know what they would look like, so I would need help, but small steps during the day so that I get to the point where I can own my own life.
So that's part of it, right? Like that's like, okay, so if I start to change my identity to somebody that does set boundaries, okay, so that has a behavioral component. I will set constraints and I will check, like you said, between 2 and 5. So you actually already have a good idea of like what the behavioral components of boundaries might actually look like. Okay. Now that's one out of the 3 aspects. The other 2 are the mental and the emotional of that. So if you just imagine yourself right now setting that boundary with yourself, how do you feel when you're like, oh, I got to only check email between 2 and 5? Like what's the feeling that triggers inside of you?
I don't want to disappoint someone that needs an answer right away,
Okay,
because
so
I
that's the
know when I
thought.
need
I
an
don't want to
answer right away.
disappoint somebody that needs an email or a response right away. So that right there is a belief, right? I disappoint people if I don't respond right away, right? So
And
you
it's
can see how
really,
that belief creates like no boundaries, right? Okay. Now what's the feeling of that? Like if you do disappoint somebody or if you don't respond right away, what's the internal feeling you feel?
hmm. I just wanted to say first that the belief is driven by, how I was trained to, like, you take care of people, and and the other thing in the belief is, well, if they don't get the answer from me, they're going to what? They're going to get the answer from someone else. And then someone else can get the business, right? So I'm always realizing that if I don't answer the phone immediately, there may be someone else that will be able to help them, right? Like, so I do get nervous that I'll lose a client by just not doing that. So
Okay,
that's a
which is also
problem for
rooted
me.
in a lot of scarcity thinking, right? Like there's so many options, there's so much competition, there's so little things that like unless I'm 110% responsive, then I'm going to lose the business. So now it doesn't. Somebody buying something from you is less about the value and the expertise you provide, and actually more about how available you are, right? So it morphs how you're looking at the value you actually provide, which, and I haven't gotten into this, but I would guess there might be some undercharging you're also doing because you're probably overworking, even if you are charging like a decent amount, right? Because so much of your value is coming from how available you are, not how great your expertise is.
Oh, you totally nailed it, because being in business, I would remember people coming in, and if they were really too high, then it was easy for that to always be the excuse. Well, they're providing a service. I can't afford them anymore. So yes, so that comes from, so a lot of these beliefs are coming from my, and not that there's wrong or right. I don't want my family or siblings to feel like, oh, there's Adrienne again going off the deep end about how she was raised. No, it's just part of like how I am right now. But at 60, it worked for me all my life. At 61, I'm really kind of realizing it now. And so that's why I, said yes to you too, because for there was a whole year I'm like, oh, I don't need a coach. I don't need anyone to help me. I got this all figured out. Most people wishes they had my energy and my ability to do all I do. And now I hit that point. It's funny because we all hit like different stages in life. So I would not have enjoyed this 10 years ago, but now I'm thinking, you're right. And it is my belief system, and I probably am undercharging. Don't worry, it doesn't mean I'm going to raise the pricing yet. But I have raised the prices, so I do make sure I scale up, and nobody said no to me. I think the fear comes from just the fact of even losing one client. But even when clients put me on pause, you're right. I already have stuff in the pipeline. It's like crazy, crazy. And then there's a spiritual side of me. And I do want to say that I do feel I have like the angels around me. I things always work out for me. So is it because I'm so positive and the universe is giving me the positivity back? I don't know. But honestly, I have very little drama in my life, besides my husband, and that's just, we work it out. Something, he's not dying or anything. He's got medication. He's fine. I keep him alive. But the point really is that I think that, it just flew out of my, maybe I'm doing too much, that I'm having a hard time with my concentration, and that could be something too. So all of it is scaring me. Yeah, I'm very high anxiety.
Yeah, 110%. Because this is a bit of a different take on it, but it's like, we often neglect to think that our brain is actually, it's an organ. Like, we always think of like our brain, but it's actually our mind, and like we're lost in our mind. Okay, yes, that's true for all of us. But ultimately, like, our brain is an organ. And like all organs in the body, like at some point it needs rest. Okay. If you look at how your brain operates, like it's essentially, going 100 miles an hour all the time, because it's constantly in fight or flight mode, right? Like all of these, like, hyper vigilant, I got to check everything. That is having a brain that's constantly switch on to, I got to scan the world to make sure I'm not letting anybody down, that everybody is okay, that I'm, responding all the time, that nobody is dissatisfied with me. Like, that is exhausting for a brain to do this for decades and decades and decades of time. Okay. Now, when it's doing that, it makes sense why it's going to have these lapses of like sometimes I forget things, I lose my train of thought, etc. Like, it doesn't mean anything bad about you. It's just, if I spend 30 years like constantly working one muscle, at some point that muscle is going to be like, all right, like, time out. I need like some sort of reprieve. I need recovery time, right? In terms of how we operate day to day, it's like, you need zero input time. You need time for those creative solutions to come into play when nothing is going on in a frenzy. But it's extremely hard to get to those places, even like you said, spiritually. Like, how are you going to get downloads for like good business ideas or new opportunities or ways to like rework things if there's just no space, because it's constant frenzy, right? So these things all interconnect together. So again, what lands from that, what doesn't?
Well, right away I'm thinking, oh my God, do I tell you that at nighttime I have to watch the news? I either watching the news or I'm on Spaces listening to people's conversation and like trying to learn something new. So I feel like, okay, I need to know what's going on in the world, because if I don't, like, I have to know what's happening. And then I feel all the emotions and the sadness, and then I go on Spaces, and I like to go on Spaces and hear debates and different sides of the thing. So I don't really give my brain like I'll say I'm going to bed early now. I'm going into bed to rest my brain. And then what am I doing? I'm like resting my brain is watching the news, CNN, and listening to Twitter Spaces. Like I don't understand myself. And people are like, you got to stop listening to the news. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But I can't. I can't. And then let's top it all off. I love horror movies. What? What? So then I get a little break, and that's like enjoyable. So I can't even understand my own head.
Yeah. So remember how I said, okay, like you have a brain that's constantly operating in that frenzy and fight or flight. I'm not surprised that you like horror movies, right? Because that also elicits a deeper, essentially, fight or flight response within your brain, right? I'm not saying don't like horror movies. I'm just saying this is part of the same pattern, which is really a pattern of addiction, right? Like, some people will be addicted to a substance. In your instance, you're addicted to input. Like something constantly has to be rummaging around my brain. And if there isn't, i.e., if I have space and peace, I actually get freaked out. Not because that's bad for you, because it's so unfamiliar that your brain's just like, holy crap, like I'm just like peaceful. Oh my God, like that's horrible. Right. Questions, comments, or concerns about that? Because it kind of
No, I
seems
mean, I think I am just, I'm so amazed at you, but I am thinking like this weekend I had lunch with my son on Sunday, and it was so nice. And I always say to my husband when we go over the bridge in Daytona Beach, the ocean side, I'm always like, oh my God, like I love this. Like I could feel, so it's weird. I could go from feeling this turmoil to like a quick drive, and I feel relaxed and I'm on vacation. Just sitting at the ocean, just eating is like, so I do take it all in. And the other thing I do is I mentally remember it. So I'll say to myself, okay, just remember how you feel right now and how you relax and how you feel so good. And you'll have that next week if you want to do that. And I do try to make sure that my weekends I work, I didn't, oh my God, I do have like, I feel like I have to be productive every single day. Like I can't just like not do something. That like literally you can't like, unless I was out with surgery and like knocked up and like knocked up, knocked out, I I wouldn't work for me. I like if it's a Saturday, I can't just not do anything. I have to do one thing. I don't care if it's writing a blog or whatever it may be. I have to do one thing so I can look back on the day and say it's productive. It scares me if I don't.
Yeah, you got to get your hit.
Oh my
I got to
God.
get my hit that I did something, because if I don't, that's panic in the brain.
Was writing this down. Well, you said I'm addicted to input. Did you
Correct.
say that?
Input, yeah. And by input, I just mean like my brain has to be processing something. So like if I have like, I'm just chilling at the beach, there's no input of like, well, I got to write a blog post. Like I'm not like inputting and processing it. Like that's what I mean by input.
Then I have to read a book because now
Correct.
at least it's a place where I have to read it. Oh my God, I don't.
Correct. So, I mean, I know there's like a lot of layers. So it's like an onion, like everything's feeding into itself. But like this is the accumulation of what we started the whole podcast with, which is like that word peace. Because all of these patterns that we've just described, all the situations, how you're, viewing the business, the beliefs, etc., they all take away peace. So really like that crossroads question for you that I presented to you earlier was like, do you want, you know, I'm going to use the next 10 years because that was kind of like where your brain was going to earlier. It's like, if the next 10 years is what I'm going to be doing for work, this is like my quote unquote golden years of what I'm going to be doing. Like, do I want these next 10 years to be ones where I like change the patterns of my history and move more towards peace while also enjoying the abundance of my expertise, not my like output, but my expertise? Or do I just continue doing the same thing? Because then you know what 10 years is going to look like. You've seen it in your parents. You pretty much is going to be what it is now, but you're just 10 years older. Like that's really the crossroads that I see from like your conversation. So again, questions, comments, or concerns about that?
Yeah. I did want to just tell you that I cry a lot. Songs, music, TV shows. I'm like, why am I went to a beautiful concert with Chris Ruggiero. So beautiful. And I'm like crying through the whole thing. And I'm like, well, the music's touching my soul. But now you're making me wonder, is that like more something? Because I mean, I cried a grocery store commercial. That's weird. So maybe I'm missing something.
So in my world, those are what I call pressure cooker leaks. Because your brain is in such a frenzy, there's like I was telling you before, there's no space for like any of like I mentioned inspiration and all of those things. There's also no space for emotion. So those few instances where you do get a little bit of quote unquote downtime, the randomest of things like a grocery store commercial is actually where this emotion leaks because it's so repressed through this frenzy of thoughts. There's got actually nowhere to go. So it finds these like leaks in the pressure cooker that's going on. So like, especially when I work with clients, we do spend a lot of time with trying to like, A, calm the pressure cooker down, and then B, making room for all those emotions to process, because that also is going to relieve a lot of the future frenzy. So you are right. It's part of a larger aspect of this pattern, but it's not something you're missing or broken for. It's just actually clues with regards to what's going on.
I don't want to live like this for the next 10 years. The answer is no.
Okay. Well, congratulations, because that's a lot more clear than when we started this call and your brain was kind of going off and on. So I think
We're
to take some
good.
time to like acknowledge yourself for getting there as well.
You're so likable and you're really good at this. Thank you. I really look forward to continuing. And do I have to go back and read all the 8 emails? Or am I okay? I start fresh.
No, listen,
I start
no,
fresh.
please don't. I'll unsubscribe you from everything for your sake. I want you
No,
to have
I
the same
no, I
thing.
like you. I no, 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 no. I very rarely, I mean, honestly, I never unsubscribe because well, you can tell me why. You know why I don't unsubscribe. I don't want to make someone feel bad. And I know people see it and read it, and I don't want them to think there's Adrienne subscribing. So I just keep it and delete. God, I'm a people pleaser, obviously. That's not that. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
like
that's the umbrella term of that's going to encapsulate a lot of the stuff we've talked about. Boundaries being the primary one, and but even in that instance, right? I have no boundaries on my input on my email inbox, because each one that you got to delete is actually like, you just got to process that. It's a lot easier just to unsubscribe and like they're just not in my field of vision at all, right? But there's such a lack of boundaries and people pleasing that even this digital person, like, who probably has so many email unsubscribers, like they're really looking for you to be like, well, Adrienne unsubscribed from my thing, therefore, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds
Oh, I hope that's
silly
not
intellectually,
egotistical.
but it's
Uh,
like emotionally, I know it's like a
Yes.
frenzy to do that. So like, I'm not, I know I'm making a joke out of it, but I know it's not a joke,
No,
right?
I know. Thank you. It's not because I have a big ego. It's just more like I feel bad. Right, right, right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, I don't go to a restaurant without giving the server a 5-star review. Like I like it's like because I know it's the least I can do. Obviously, I can give a nice tip, but giving them a review makes it's good for them. And so, like I'm like, yeah, wow. Mm,
I mean,
mhm.
and listen, that's the beautiful parts of these patterns as well. Like, I know we're talking about kind of their distortions. There's a lot of gifts in them as well. And it's just a matter of utilizing the gifts, but actually healing the distortions, right? That's kind of the flip side of this coin. So anyway, I want to be respectful of like time, etc. So I know we cover a lot of grounds. Does this feel complete for you as far as like, I understand the lay of the land and kind of like what I want more? Is there still something left outstanding?
Yeah, I feel like I need coaching, and and it feels good to talk through it. So I want to do it more.
Beautiful. Well, I mean, for you and for anybody else listening, if you do want that coaching in this instance, by all means, let me know. Yeah, but as far as like this episode and all of that, I wanted to acknowledge you for diving into this, because admitting this, especially in this kind of way, is not, an easy or simple thing. So I want to acknowledge you for that. And thank you for it. And then yeah, listen, floor is yours. Let everybody know where they can find you, who's the best person to find you. Floor is yours for all that.
Call me. You can 386-631-4577. You know what? But don't call me at night. Don't call me in the morning. I'm not kidding around. And you know what? Don't send me direct messages on Facebook because I just can't even. I don't even like Facebook. Don't. You know what? Just email me. If you text me, let me know who you are, so I don't have to worry about that. I don't send one email out without letting people have my phone number because I'm so worried that people have to search for a number that they'll go crazy, because I go crazy if I have to search for a number. So you know what though? I'm always happy to work with someone and always happy to provide advice or thoughts. And I'm glad to have this opportunity to prove that even a successful professional businesswoman who teaches corporate etiquette, we all have things inside of us. And so I look forward to working with Dresco to get my head together, get rid of my head trash. But I want you to know my head trash has nothing to do with working. I'm still me, and I look forward to it. This will just make me a stronger and more complete. And I love the idea that I could download some better processing, some better ideas, so that I could be more creative. So so call me and let's talk creativity, because I love that. Thank you. So my website, my name, everyone should buy their name, by the way. So buy your name. Mine's adriennebarker.com, but that's really important. Buy your children's name. It's a nice gift for them. And a professional global etiquette, spell etiquette correctly and you'll come to the website. Professional Global Etiquette. That's where I have my blogs. And follow me on LinkedIn. And thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And yeah, we'll include all of that in the show notes. I'm not going to include your phone number just for the sake of helping you practice your own boundaries. So you got to listen to the episode to find out. But yeah, all the rest of it definitely we'll include in there. But yeah, Adrienne, thank you very much for coming on. And for everybody else listening, we'll see you on the next one.